Welcome to Where We Knit. My name is Kristen and I'm coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And on this video, I talk all things yarn, all things knitting, a little bit of sewing, and a little bit about me as a person. So let me just take 1 second to say thank you so much for all your beautiful comments last week. They weren't all beautiful. They weren't all agreeable, but that's okay. The other thing is, guess what? You have the choice to watch this video or not. And if it is not content that you agree with or like to hear about, you can just move on. There's so many knitting podcasts out there. I watch them daily. And some people just literally talk about knitting. But for me, that's not who I am. And in this podcasts on this channel, you get to learn a little bit about who I am as a person, as a sister, as a teacher, as a mom of adult children. It would be disingenuous to me if I didn't share about things that are weighing on my heart. I'm not gonna spill the beans and tell you about my whole life, but some pretty big things going on. And I'm gonna share them a little bit because it's about how I create community on my channel, Where We Knit. So with that said, if this video is not suiting your fancy, leave. Nobody's making you watch it. So that's just what I had to say. Thank you so much for the people who are supporting me, subscribing, watching these videos. And I'm so glad you're enjoying the content. I'm so glad, because that's why I'm doing this. I'm not doing it to make $1 million. I'm literally doing it for fun. So with that said, thank you so much for all the support that you've given me on this channel. And Minnesota, thanks to those of you who shared and donated, and there's links in the description box today if you are looking forward to supporting or looking to support Minnesota and residents of Minneapolis due to the invasion of ice to our city. Okay, let's get on to the knitting. Now, speaking of podcasts and what you want to watch, I have to tell you about a new podcast, knitting podcast, that I want to scream out because I love her so much. Her name is Laura. She's 24. I think she's in Denmark, although don't quote me on that. I'm going to put the name of her podcast in the description box. Also, if you're new to this channel, welcome. Everything I talk about, I try to put in the description box below. You can click live links to the things that I mention, and at the very end, I share my favorite things. Now, this is one of my favorite podcasts, so I'm shouting her out because I don't know if she's new to, I just found her. She's called Knitagear. She's an engineer. First of all, the lady's brilliant. Second of all, she gives all of these super great pattern ideas and such, like most of us do, but she also talks a lot about the science behind yarn because she's writing her dissertation or doing her dissertation on the sustainability of hand-dyed yarn. Okay, she goes over all of these geeky, sciencey experiments and things that she knows about cotton versus wool and linen and all of these different fibers. I love it. So check her out. The next thing I wanted to talk about is this video. I don't do sponsorship very often, but this video is being sponsored by Dream Knit. Okay, hear me out. While I'm talking about this, I'm gonna scroll through a video screen of me looking at Dream Knit and their website. So it's a subscription-based website. They are gifting me a year of Dream Knit Pro for 1 year. I am gonna keep mentioning this throughout the year because I'm gonna use it and really dig deep. These two, speaking of genius women, two more genius women, Martha and Ingrid, they are in Norway, And they have created Dream Knit. Dream Knit Pro is what I have. Now, you can scroll through this and buy their patterns. They have their own patterns already created, but you can create your own with the clicks of buttons, people. Men, women, children, accessories, pretty much anything you want to make. And cardigans, sweaters, hats, mittens, whatever. You put your measurements in, you say the sizes, you say what yarn you're using. They have yarn cataloged in their subscription already, but you can put your own yarn in. You can say, let's say I want to make a slip over. I click, I want V-neck. I click, I want 1x1 rib. I click that I want twisted rib. I click that I want it cropped. You can think about the kinds of sleeves. With the click of a button, it creates a pattern for you. Now, here's the cool thing. I'm gonna check this out on the, they have color work charts already loaded into Dream Knit Pro. You can drag them into, right now, only like accessories like mittens. So you can drag it in and it populates it for you for the pattern and your size. It's mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing. I love it so, so much. In the description box, you will see you will get 25% off with a code WhereWeKnit25. And you can play around with it. 25% off a year subscription or 25% off a monthly subscription for 2 months. You got to check it out. It is genius, and I'm really excited to dig in to do some colorwork mittens. There's a pattern on a sweater that I saw at Banana Republic, and I am gonna just kind of copy it. It's like a snowflakey pattern, but I can go into that tool and click the colors that I want, how I can change the colors, whatever it might be, on the grid for the color work chart. And then I can drag it into a pair of mittens to try it out to see if I like it. And if I like it, then I can populate it onto a sweater. It's amazing. It truly is like life-changing. So check it out. I'm gonna be using it throughout the year and bringing it up to you. But if you wanna try it, they are offering a discount to viewers for 25% off. So thank you, Dream Knit, for sponsoring this video. All right, there's a lot of things I want to talk about today. And one of them is substituting yarns. Now, when you read a pattern, do you always use the recommended yarn? I'm curious. I don't. I started out doing usually the recommended yarn, like when I got back into knitting in 2020 during the pandemic, but I generally now go on my own and find it's kind of easy if the designer created a DK weight pattern using fingering and mohair, let's say, that's an easy substitution for me anyway. It gets a little dicey when you have a sport weight pattern, or sometimes I struggle with getting Aran weight. Now, the reason that I brought this up for sport weight is one of my finish objects today is the Andrea Mowry Comebackigan. We did a Comebackigan. It's a cardigan, knit along at Dandelion Fiber. This is the place where I teach classes, and we do knit alongs. And so at this knit along in January was the Comebackigan. Now here's mine. I'll pop up a picture too if I can get a good enough one. I will have to do a little sweater surgery on it. Okay, so I substituted yarn that was this beautiful Why Not Fibers Smooshy. I love it. It is 350 yards to 100 grams, non-superwash, merino US source, Ohio spun sport weight yarn. I do really like it. It's in the colorway Poison Apple. Love the color. Bought it at Nashfest. Here is what it looks like, but here's the tricky thing. it is, you might not see it here, but it's thick and thin yarn. So the way that it's spun, it gets thicker and thinner. Now, I was able to get gauge. I did make mine oversized. You might not like the variegation in skeins. I did not alternate skeins. I like this. I wanted it like this. The sleeves are too long, so I'm gonna have to go in and probably here take about that much off. So I'll be entering the pattern here, cutting this off, re-knitting the ribbing, and Bob's your uncle. It'll be done. So I'm not too whipped up about that. But because it was thick and thin yarn, the pattern is written to have a double knit button band. Well, I don't know if you've ever tried doing a double knit with thick and thin yarn. It looks like junk. So I got up all the way around to the back and I ripped it out. I knew that if I did not figure out a way to do a different type of button band, I would not wear this garment. And so I don't want to do that anymore. I've become educated on what happens when I have a little flaw in something and I don't want to, sweater surgery here for the sleeve, no big deal. I can do that absolutely no problem. But having to look at a button band that I didn't like every time I put it on would deter me from wearing it. So I went in and modified and did a 1x1. Same pickup, same placement for buttonholes. I don't have buttons yet, but I knew that I would hate it. So that's why I ended up not continuing with the button band because of that. So that's just an example of I switched out yarns, but I didn't think ahead. It's all of these little nuggets that you learn along the way while you're knitting. So if you're new to knitting and you substitute yarns and it's just not working out, I mean, it's the name of the game, right? When you are substituting a yarn for something else that's not written in the pattern. Now, I do go through and kind of scroll and do a search on Ravelry to see, let's say I have a bunch of Brooklyn tweed and it's a worsted weight and I'm going to use my Brooklyn tweed shelter. I do go in to see, has anyone knit this pattern in shelter? There's a way to do that in Ravelry because then I can see what it looks like and how it, kind of knits up in regards to drape and if there's any kind of texture in it or whatever it might be. So that is always a really good idea. Now, I love to experiment with new yarns. One thing that I am doing for this month for the knit along at Dandelion Fiber, it's an Ozetta along. And so I swatched this Cascade 220 Ecological wool. Never used it before. It comes in giant skeins. And I swatched for it and looked at the gauge and I soaked it and I love the feel of it. And I was able to make gauge. Now go figure, this is a bulky weight yarn and in the Lakes V, the V-neck sweater by Ozetta, that's the one that I'm choosing to do for the knit along. I have really found a way to substitute this yarn and it works out great. So I think I'm gonna really like it. I'm excited to block it and see how this works out. So that's just one example where I am substituting what she used, what Haley used, the designer of Ozetta, and I think it's gonna work out. So maybe not so much. I mean, this is fine. I was able to modify the pattern for a 1x1 button band, but it doesn't always work out when you substitute yarns. So sometimes I find that people have a sweet spot, like so many people love the durability, the colors, and oh, by the way, this guy's hanging out with me now. Some people really love the durability of like knitting for Olive, for instance, and they can always get gauge or find a way to get gauge, even though their fingering weight is a light fingering weight. When you add it, mohair to it or whatever, you can still get a DK weight gauge. So that's just one thing that I wanted to cover today is how do you substitute yarns and what tools do you use? Now, one tool I want to talk about is, have you ever gone to yarnsub.com and in their search engine, you put the yarn that you want to use? You put the yarn that the designer used. And then you just click a little button and it comes up with usually 10 or more different. And the first one is always the best match. And it tells you why. Same gauge, same kind of wool, same weight of yarn, meaning you're going to get 325 yards for 100 grams for that sport weight yarn. I use that and the tool and Ravelry to search to see if other people have used that yarn. I do that often and it usually comes out pretty well. Now, in the description box below, you will see that I have put in yarnsub.com, but I also have put in a really, really informative article written a while ago by people at Purl Soho. It was on their website, and it's a really clear and concise article. It's not too long, and it really does talk about what properties to look at when substituting yarns for a pattern. I really like it. You know, they focus a lot just on their yarns that they carry because they have a gazillion yarns. And if you didn't want to use their Cashmere bloom, for instance, you could use, and then they'll kind of substitute and tell you the other yarns that they have if you didn't want to use that yarn for whatever reason. So that is just a really good article to look at. You know, what it really does come down to is if you can make gauge, you can probably go ahead. It's just looking at the durability long term, and also it's looking at if you, what was I going to say? Oh, if you like the drape of whatever yarn you're using too. Because, you know, like if you have something with silk or linen in it, it's going to behave and drape differently if it's just 100% wool. So I wanted to cover that today because I oftentimes think about, I really don't very often use the recommended yarn. Now, with that said, it's a little segue into what's next. So my friend Michelle recently just dropped her daughter off, just dropped her off in Copenhagen. No, she's going to study abroad in Copenhagen. So she went to Copenhagen to bring her daughter there. And there was a couple things that I wanted her to look for, even though I was just in Copenhagen in June this last year. But I have never used Filcolana yarns. And so I asked her to get some Filcolana Pernilla and Filcolana Alva. Okay, this Alva, I can't wait to knit with it, but once I do, this could be my next lace weight substitution. This is 100% alpaca, and it's lace weight, and it feels like butter. It's so great. So I had been perusing some Filcolana patterns recently, and I got this one. It's called the Celina. It's a vest. And fun fact, if you go to the US version of the Filcolana website that talks about all their yarns, all the patterns that they have on their website are free. And they are beautiful patterns. So if you don't have this yarn readily available to you, I know it's in the US somewhere, but I've never seen it in a yarn shop here. So but it's all over in Europe. And I am also going on a trip to Sweden in March for 10 days. And I'm going to probably look for a little bit more because I really do love it. And I'm pretty sure that they stock it in yarn stores in Stockholm and surrounding areas. So check out, I do have the link for both of these yarns for the Filcolana website, but I also wanted to alert you to all of their beautiful free patterns. Like there's a couple patterns on there. I'm like, I'm going to put that in my wish list on Ravelry because I really, really like them and they're free. So if you can find substitute yarns, if you don't have that yarn available to you, it could be a really good resource for some really beautiful new patterns for you. I have been ticking along on all of my languishing whips, and one that, I finished 2 this week. I finished this. This wasn't a languishing whip. I just started it in January. It's my finished object for January. This Comebackigan. And with that said, you might have noticed that I didn't put the pockets on this yet. I don't know if I'm going to do pockets or not. I haven't decided, but I have them here. I'm going to kind of pin them on and, figure out if I like that look or not. But one languishing whip is a Musselburgh hat, which I've always just had in my work bag. So I just knit on it for like maybe 20 minutes at lunch at work every day. But I decided to bring it home last weekend and just finish it. I was so close. And this is a colorway. It's their solar system colorway. I don't know if they always have it available, but I bought it specifically for this because I saw it on their website. But what it is it's by Gauge Dye Works. And I mean, these dyers at Gauge Dye Works, they got to figure it out. I mean, I love it. So remember the Musselburgh hat, or the Musselburgh, I don't know how you pronounce it, is just this long tube, and then you increase here, decrease here, and it goes inside, and it fits perfectly. It is the sweet spot for me. I knit it on a size 2.5, US 2.5, and it is, the Musselburgh hat is one of those that you kind of have to find the sweet spot of if you want a brim or not, and how long you need to knit it before you start to decrease. And this is going to be my model one that I kind of put in my little book of magic numbers. I've talked about magic numbers before in this podcast, and that is the numbers of, just the yardage and the length of specific patterns. That is just the sweet spot, like the sizing and all of my numbers, like how long do I like my sleeves? How much ease do I really like before it starts to look like a trash bag on me if it's too much positive ease? And so this is going to be my little model. And if I teach a class, I have taught Musselburgh hats before at Dandelion Fiber, and this is going to be a good sample for me to be able to use. One other languishing whip that I have had is this Shift Again, or not Shift Again, that's the cardigan, the Shifty Cowl by Andrea Mowry. And I started this last January, and it was all using all of my leftovers of Freia yarns. Freia yarns is all like this hand-painted, variegated yarn. So if spin cycle is not your thing, I really, really highly recommend checking out Freia yarns. That will be in the description box. Not only do I love their colorways, but this is so, so soft. It's like a single ply. It is so soft and so beautiful, and I love the colors. And this is being gifted today to my friend Anna. Now, Anna is my friend who can pretty much do anything. And I'm not kidding. And Anna, if you saw the thumbnail is the little picture that you see on YouTube before you click that you're going to watch this video or not. And there were all of those little stickers. She did a painting for me, which I'll pop a picture of it here because we finally have it up in the house. And she did a picture of a handful, drawings and painting of a handful of sweaters that I've knit. And I framed it, and now it's in my house. But part of that is that now she's created stickers I gotta go get them. I'll be right back. Okay, so Anna has created stickers now that are at the shop at Dandelion of these sweaters. Now, you know how I love a good sticker, and I've talked about that before, but these are all of the designs that she created into stickers, and are you kidding me? I could not love them more. So as a gift to Anna for generously just doing that for fun, she is getting this shifty cowl, and I think she's gonna love it. She knew I was working on it, but now I finally finished it. So another languishing whip. And I'm really ticking through these. Like, I'm super happy. I finished this cashmere sock. I used June cashmere and a silk mohair from Stash. And they haven't been blocked, but anyway. All my leftover June cashmere from a cape that I made, like a poncho, by someone Harris. I'll put a picture of it here. And so I'm starting on the second sock. Here is the cashmere, June cashmere fingering. It's so beautiful. And I just had a little bit left of all of these colors, which is why, and these are, it's a DK weight sock, so it goes pretty quickly. But the other piece of it is I've never used cashmere without nylon in socks, which is why I paired it with mohair to give it a little bit of durability. But these will mostly be like inside socks, like socks that I will wear with my slippers, or bed socks when I'm really, really cold, or even if I go for a walk with boots on, I will wear these just for a little bit extra warmth. All right, what else? I'm trying to think. I talked about my Ozetta. I talked about, sweater surgery. The next sweater surgery has been scheduled for this spring. And I might have brought this up before. My last sweater surgery was the tessellated pullover by Andrea Mowry. Way too cropped. And so that one was a little tough as a first sweater surgery, but it was a success. You can see that in a previous episode if you're interested in what I did to lengthen that sweater, because it was a bottom-up sweater. This also is a bottom-up sweater, but it's going to be a lot easier. So this is the Weekender Light. Love it. Love the yarn. So it's knit inside out, and then the sleeves are knit right side right, and it's the Weekender. And I love this sweater, except it's too short. So it's a split hem. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna make it longer by going in, picking up all of the stitches right before the ribbing, okay? And then I'm going to make it longer. Well, how much yarn do I have? I had a lot, but I made a Musselburgh hat with the rest of it. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna use as much as I can of this. It is using their swanky sock yarn that has a little bit of cashmere in it. It's fantastic. So I'm gonna lengthen it probably 2 inches, and then I'm either gonna re-knit the split hem ribbing, or I'm gonna graft it on. Don't know yet. But this will be an easy fix. Now you're probably wondering, okay, this isn't gonna give you very much length, Kristen. How are you gonna do that? I got ideas. So I knit a Musselburgh hat, just as a house hat for whoever wanted to use it, and I love it. Nobody wears it. Mr. Where We Knit sometimes, but very rarely. So I'm going to undo the inside of it and use just a plain navy. So you're probably thinking, how are you gonna do that? Well, I'm gonna undo the top, okay, where I did the decrease. Okay, so I don't know, I have to figure out which end that is on the Musselburgh hat. And I'm just gonna knit until I have the right length. I'm gonna undo to here and start knitting onto here and make it the length that I want. And then I'm going to substitute just a plain navy yarn, which I have in stash, or maybe another color, for the inside, because truly, I mean, it'll still be a double ply, it'll still be a Musselburgh hat, it just won't be the same in the inside. It'll be different, which actually could be really cute if you wanted to make it and you wanted to wear it as like a real, like just a beanie. And I could put that in the inside, and so this part right here would be different. Or most of the time when we wear this hat to shovel or do whatever here, it's just a slouchy, so it really doesn't matter what's in the inside. So I'm gonna use that yarn to create it longer, and I think it'll work out great. I'm pretty excited to see how it works out. Okay, last thing. I was surprised by one of the viewers. She also is local. She also shops at the shop at Dandelion Fiber. And I went in to teach a class the other night, and Tiff and Lara, the owners of the shop, were like, "Hey, Becky," I don't know Becky. I don't think I know Becky. Becky came in and she bought this for you and for your viewers. 2 gift cards, one to the shop for me and one to the shop for you. Right? I mean, I was shocked. I was like, what? And it just goes to show that when you create a community, the magic in generosity and community is such a beautiful thing. And I feel like for me and a lot of my friends and neighbors really need that right now. And so I have so much gratitude for that. So thank you. It wasn't anything I asked for. It wasn't anything that I expected. But what a beautiful and magical, generous surprise. So thank you, Becky. In the comments below, I would love for you to tell me, what are you knitting right now? And from that, I will do a random pick and I will announce it on my next video. The next video will be, I'm going to visit my son in Bozeman on Thursday for the long weekend. And so the following weekend, I will be announcing the winner. So in that, I will have to have you go into the description box and find my email. I will put it up here so we don't get trolls and bots. I will just put it at the bottom of the screen next time. And then if that's you, if you could send me an email, that would be fantastic. So $100, Dandelion Fiber, could be you. Thanks to Becky. Okay, let's also talk about one other thing before I start my favorite things. I wanted to talk about the Luffe Mitten class. So many people were on this bandwagon of taking the online class. Is it still happening? Yes. Am I close? Yes. I believe it is the last Sunday in February when I am going to offer the class. So please follow me on Instagram. If you don't have social media and you don't do Instagram, please send me a direct message or in the comments below. Tell me your email or send me an email and I will send out an email when registration's live. I think what I'm doing, I'm doing it on Zoom. It's gonna be $35. I believe I will have a QR code that I can email you or you will find on Instagram once it goes live. Now, here's the thing. I'm really trying to figure this out, not just for the Luffe Mitten classes, but for future classes, which is why it's taking me so long. And I'm working with an IT guy who right now is on vacation. And once he gets back, we're solidifying everything. It is going to be on Zoom. So figure out a way that you can get Zoom either on your computer or on your phone. And that's how we'll do it. Class will be 1 hour. And then it will also, we'll have like 20 to 30 minutes after for questions regarding the Luffe Mittens. So you'll have to have all your supplies and buy the pattern and be ready to go. I am only going to offer it for 15 people the first time. And then I'm going to offer as much as I have the request for in March. So the beginning of March. They will either be on an evening or a weekend because, I work full time as a teacher during the school year. But hopefully, once I get this Luffe Mitten class figured out, I can also offer other online classes in the future. So that's how it's going to work. If you were waiting, thank you for being patient and waiting. These kind of things, when you're working a full-time job during the day, the time to really play around and get it to work for me, in a platform where I want to deliver good content to you as a participant in the class, I got to take the time to do it right. So that's why it's taking so long. So thanks for being patient. And then lastly, let's do favorite things. So my favorite things, I could go on and on about my favorite things. And also the other thing that you could comment on is share one of your favorite things. So you can tell me what you're working on if you want to, but as part of the comment section today, I am using that just to randomly generate. I know how to do it, to do a random generation or generated pick for the giveaway for next week. But 2 things or 3 things. I could go on and on. But one of my favorite things this week was 2 books that I read to my students. And the 2 picks, one of them has to do with Black History Month, and the other one has to do with, we're talking about winter and snow in Minnesota and all that thing. So my one favorite book that if you're a mom, if you're a grandma or a grandpa or a dad and you're watching this and you have little kids, this picture book is beautiful. It's called Wolf in the Snow. And that is by, oh, I'm bummed I can't find it now. I wrote it out. Michael Caldwell, something. I'll put it up in the description box. And the other one is called May Among the Stars. And that's the one that we read for Black History Month. And it's all about this little girl who wants to become an astronaut. And, Mae Jemison was the first African-American woman to go to space and be an astronaut. And I think she is such a great role model for all of our African-American students and young girls just in general. But that's why we read that book. So 2 really, 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 really good picture books are my favorites. The next favorite thing is a New York Times recipe. It's a smashed cucumber salad with dumplings, and then there's a peanut sauce. So I'll put a picture of it here, but I'll also, and the other thing is that it's one of those, the reason why I love these recipes is because I'm getting them from like either the One Pot Wonder section or Cooking for 2, because we went from cooking for 4 with 2 teenage boys to like just cooking for 2. And it's been a little bit of a challenge to find things. And then lastly, I'll put that in the description box. And then lastly, okay, this might be like a controversial issue because it's an AI generated book, but my birthday's coming up this week, and my sister, because I'm going to Bozeman to see my son for the long weekend, my sister brought over my birthday gift and she gave it to me yesterday. And I literally almost peed my pants because it is so funny. So so you answer all these questions and you pick a theme, and it creates literally an AI book that is so funny. Now I have this marked out because I don't publish my last name, but Stitch, Bitch, Repeat. Surviving Mom Life, one yarn ball at a time. #1 bestseller. And then she uploaded this picture that she had, and it's an AI book. So like here, let me just read you some of the chapters. Untangling the yarn of life. A stitch in the classroom. Threads of friendship. Knitted gifts from the heart. Crafting with Kim. Kim is my sister. She's not a crafter, but can do pretty much everything else. Yarn shopping with a purpose. Knitflix and chill. And seriously, it is so funny. And she, like, the names of my kids are in here, like Crafting with Teddy, or my husband's name is in here. Knitting under pressure. Deadlines and decisions. And it's literally all about, like, she described who I was as a person. She described about the things I like to knit. She described, it is, okay, if you knit with other friends and there's a birthday coming up. She also gave this to my mom because my mom was just leaving to go away for the winter. And so she gave her a little light reading. But yeah, #1 bestseller by Kristen, and Stitch, Bitch, and Repeat, Surviving Mom Life. Okay, it is so funny. It is so funny to read. I literally crack up the entire time I open it up. So those are my favorite things. If you like this content, please subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. You'll be notified every time I upload a new video. And remember, if this video is not for you, you don't have to slash me in the comments. Just don't watch it. It's okay. Move on. There's so many other videos you can watch. With that, stay safe, have a great day, and go and be a helper. Bye.